Hey guys, this is Lee Clements here with Media Unlocked. I'm going to do an overview and an unboxing of the EOS 5D Mark IV, Canon's latest iteration in the venerable 5D line. The 5D Mark III came out in 2012. Here we are 4 years later with some substantial upgrades, and kind of anxious to see what we've got. So let's get right to it. Canon always doesn't include a whole lot except for the camera. You've got your instruction manuals and new EOS digital software, which you can download online if your computer does not have a CD drive anymore. We've got our 5D Mark IV manuals, one in Spanish and one in English. They are hefty for being as small as they are. One of the upgrades is USB 3 instead of USB 2. They've included the USB 3 cable. If you don't have a card reader, you can hook your camera straight up. You can, obviously, for transferring footage, but also you can do control through the EOS software of your camera via USB. We've got our standard LC-E6 charger, Canon standby since the 5D Mark II, and the LP-E6 batteries that go with it. Your EOS 5D Mark IV strap that will tell everybody what camera you're using. And finally, the 5D Mark IV itself. So first impressions for me, camera feels a little bigger than previous bodies, and I have big hands, so it actually feels a little bit more comfortable for me. We've got some considerable upgrades from the Mark III to the Mark IV. We've got an additional 6 megapixels on the still side, bringing us to a total of 30.4 megapixels. Digic 6 Plus processor versus the Digic 5 Plus, which is obviously a considerable increase in speed. As always, Canon's processors jump pretty significantly from one iteration to the next. As far as autofocus goes, we've had a few upgrades as well. The number of autofocus points is the same. There's still 61, but the Mark IV spreads those autofocus points out across the sensor. In addition to that, they've included their dual pixel CMOS autofocus system, which you're starting to see on the Cinema EOS line, the C100 Mark II, the C300 Mark II. I think it's included on the C700 as well, their flagship they just announced. That obviously is predominantly for video. With the addition of the spread out autofocus points and the dual pixel, you're going to have some serious power when you're doing autofocus in video. We've also had an ISO increase in the native side of things. We can go standard from 100 to 32,000, up from 25.6 on the previous iteration. Your expandable ISO is still 50 to 102,400. With your faster processor, you've got better image processing, so you're going to have less noise in your higher ISOs than you did in the Mark III, and especially in the Mark II. Some of the video upgrades include 4K up to 30 frames per second, which is pretty substantial for Canon, and they've added 1080 60p on the HD side, as well as 720 120 frames per second. So you can shoot some decent slow motion stuff with this. The one thing is that the 4K introduces a slight crop. It's a 1.74 crop factor, which I think brings it down to just about where an APS-C size sensor is. So it's a little unfortunate that you don't get the full frame in 4K, but it's what you make of it. From the body perspective, we've got the same size LCD as the Mark III, but they've actually added touchscreen functionality to it. So you've got a considerable amount of control, either with the large thumb wheel, with your small sensor wheel, and you can also just touch screen stuff. They've added some functionality too to these buttons. You see the blue as well as the white. A lot of these functions are more for stills than for video. But as always, you can go and reprogram buttons to do exactly what you want them to do. Finally, internal stuff, we've added wireless near-field communication and GPS come standard in this camera. In the Mark III, they were present, but you needed an adapter in order to use them. All of that stuff is internal now, and actually from the specs, this camera is slightly smaller and slightly lighter, so they've managed to cram more functionality into a smaller area. So connections-wise on the side, we've got our mini HDMI like we've had. We've got our USB 3. Canon has also included a cable protector for your HDMI or USB cables. It screws into this little hole right here and kind of protects the cable connections here so that they don't get pulled out. We'll go over that in a little bit. Down here we've got our headphone jack and our microphone input, both super helpful for video, obviously. Not a whole lot of use for microphone in stills. And you've got your flash remote shoe here, obviously again for still photography. In all cases, I believe you can just pull these cable protectors out if you don't want those ports covered up, if you've got it in a rig or something that's going to protect it. And it's just a simple push to get it back in and restore that functionality, which it doesn't want to do right now because it never works that way when you're actually on camera doing it. Something else that they have done, they've moved their remote port up here to the front. So if you're using, for still photography, you're using an intervalometer or at least just a remote shutter, that's been moved up here. So there it is, 5D Mark IV. It's just, it's the next one with some considerable upgrades. I'm really looking forward to using this camera. I've been a Canon early adopter. I bought a 5D Mark II in 2010, right after it came out in 2009. So I've been on that train for a while. The specs on paper might not be as good as some other cameras that have come out right now, but personally, I'm not a big fan of specs. I am much more concerned with the image quality, which I don't think Canon has skimped on ever. And I'm way more concerned too, for me as a shooter, with my on-set experience. I like Canon's menus. I like that you can now, especially with the Mark II with the Mark IV, with the Cinema series, you can create your own menus to have easy access to functions that might be buried. I much prefer the way Canon does things personally, and I think even if there are other cameras that, again, on paper look better or sound better, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to enjoy working with them better. So for me, Canon's the brand I use, and I'm really looking forward to digging further into this camera. So we'll be sure to get you in on that. So I'm Lee Clements with Media Unlocked. Be sure to visit us on Facebook, facebook.com/Media Unlocked, and we'll see you further down the line.
Hey guys, if you'd like to check out our website where we have all kinds of fun and exciting blogs, videos, and extra information that isn't on our YouTube page, click right here. If you'd like to talk to us or contact us and kind of take a look at all the different stuff that we have going on, we've kind of funneled it all through our Facebook. You can hit our Facebook page right here and follow us or like us. Now, if you like to look at cool pictures and behind the scenes stuff, we do that on Instagram right here. So go on and follow us on Instagram. And of course, we got our cute little bird right here, Mr. Twitter, and you can follow us as we do our short tweets.